Good evening, sir.
Very, very good evening, beta. 1, 2, 3, 4 are there. We'll wait 1 minute more, then we'll start the session. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So what we had discussed in last lecture, do you have any idea about it? Tanvi, Ashish?
Water of crystallization.
What we had discussed in last lecture? Chemical reaction and equation, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So shall we start? Am I audible, everybody? Steve Simon has come. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So very good evening to all. So we are going to start today's session. Okay. So yes. Yeah.
The types of reactions.
Today we have to discuss now.
Yes.
Okay.
The double displacement reaction, displacement.
Had we discussed how to balance chemical reaction? No, no.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. 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 So I think till here, word equation is also
Start.
done.
Yes.
Word equation is done. No? Symbol of the element and their valences. Okay. So first we have to discuss this part. Okay. Symbol of the element and their valences. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me check was somebody is there in waiting room or what. No. I hope I will get notification today because we had changed some setting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So first we have to understand the symbols of the element. Okay. See, when elements were started discovering by the scientist, okay, that time what happens? They used to, represent symbol element in the form of symbol. They used to represent element in the form of symbol. So symbols like one circle and positive sign is there, or maybe one circle and arrow is there, or maybe circle along with the positive sign, okay, on the base. So these are different symbols that scientists use to represent the symbol for to represent the element. But when number of element has increased at that time, then it is very difficult to remember the symbols of the different element. That's why they started naming the element. Like first element, okay, first element they named as hydrogen. they named as hydrogen. Okay, and the word hydrogen, from here they have taken one or sometime two later to represent them in the form of symbol. So hydrogen is represents as H. Okay, then second element is named as helium.
Sir, is hydrogen the first discovered element, sir?
No. I am just making you understand how they have started representation of the element in the form of symbol, and then
Okay, sir.
number of elements when they discovered. Okay, large number of elements they were discovered. It becomes very difficult to remember the symbol of many elements. That's why they started naming the word. Okay, in the form of word, they started naming the element in the form of words. Like first element we have hydrogen, so from here we have taken first letter, which is H, and H is used as a symbol to represent the hydrogen atom. Likewise, second element we have helium, so helium is represented as He. See, if we will represent only by a single letter, then hydrogen and helium will have the same symbol, is it? That's why they started one along with second letter. Okay, so that's why first letter H and second is E. So helium is represented as He. Then we have lithium, third element, it is represented as Li. Okay, so now the first and second initial letter, maybe first or sometimes first along with second letter, are used to represent the element in the form of symbol. Okay, so we have to discuss over here what is written. A symbol is the chemical code. So it is nothing but the chemical code. Symbol is nothing but the chemical code to represent the element. Okay, for an element, each element has one or two letters. Okay, so sometimes elements have only one, but some elements have C. If in case of carbon we have only C, but in case of chlorine we have C along with L. So there are elements they are used to represent by one or sometimes two letters. Okay, so remember first letter is capital, and the second letter, if we are using second, then it must be the small. Okay, now which uh, which is the abbreviation for its name. So we can say Li is the abbreviation for the lithium, H is abbreviation for hydrogen, He is abbreviation for helium. Likewise, okay, other elements also they represent in the form of one or two letters, which is nothing but abbreviation for them. Okay, and it becomes very easy to remember also. Is it or not?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. So I hope you have understood how elements are represented in the form of symbol by using letters, sometime one or maybe first and second letter also. So one or two letter are used to represent the elements in the form of symbol. Now we have to discuss about the valency now. So do you have any idea about valency? Any idea about valency?
How it receives or loses an atom.
Not atom, electron. Anybody, any idea about valency?
Sir, valence is the capacity.
Valency is the combining capacity of an element.
It tells us how many atoms a particular element have.
Yes, wait a second. I am getting call from your classes. Yes, sir. I have admitted them, but still I am not getting any notification. Even that pop-up sound also, I am not getting, sir. Okay, but I have attended students. Okay, sir. Yeah. Still today I am not getting invitation. Okay, don't worry. So where were we? So we were discussing about the valency. See, very important part we are going to discuss now. Okay, so valency. So I am going to write over here. Still you have to, and you have to write also. Huh? So valency. Valency. See, valency is nothing but the combining capacity of an element. Okay, so I'm going to write over here the combining capacity. Wait a second, I think somebody is again there in waiting room. No. So the combining capacity, it is Ty, huh? Combining capacity of an element is called as valency. Is called as valency. Okay. Suppose if we'll discuss, I think we had discussed octet rule also. Octet rule says every element must have 8 electrons in their outermost shell in order to acquire stability. What octet rule says? Octet rule says every element must have 8 electrons in their valence shell in order to acquire stability. Okay, to become stable, they have to have 8 electrons in their outermost or valence shell. Suppose if we'll take example of carbon atom. So in case of carbon atom, it's having only 6 electrons with it. So from 6 electrons, 2 electrons will come on the first shell and remaining 4 electrons will come on the second shell. So see, octet rule says every element must have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. But here, in case of carbon, in outermost shell, only 4 electrons are present. Is it? Means carbon will require 4 more electrons in order to acquire stability. So for that, carbon will share 4 electrons with other atom. Like if we'll discuss for the methane, carbon will going to share 4 electrons with 4 other hydrogen atoms. Okay, so likewise the capacity of carbon to combine with 4 different atoms means it is going to form the 4 bond. Okay, 4 chemical bond means carbon have 4 valency. Carbon will have 4 valency. So valency is nothing but the combining capacity of an element. Okay, it is nothing but the valency. And here we have to discuss again, valency is determined by, you know how valency is going to be determined? We have to discuss over here. Just wait a second. I'm just scrolling side. I have to keep checking whether somebody is there in waiting room or not. Okay. See. Now, valency, we have again discussed very important point, how valency is going to be determined. So valency is determined by number of electrons present in outermost shell of an atom. Outermost valence shell is also called as outermost shell. Okay, outermost shell of an atom. Okay, valency is determined by number of electrons present in outermost shell of an atom. So don't forget. See, if we will discuss about how to determine, suppose in case of carbon atom, okay, or we can say sodium. Sodium have total 11 electrons. It have only total 11 electrons. So I'm going to write the electronic configuration for sodium. So it is 2, then we have 8 and 1. So in first shell there are capacity, it has only for 2 electrons. Second shell has capacity to have 8 electrons. Third have capacity to have 18 electrons. But octet rule says 8 electrons will also do. If eight electrons are present in its outermost shell, will also do and will acquire stability. Okay. So in case of sodium, sodium having only one electron in its outermost shell. Now sodium have two conditions: whether it is going to lose one electron, or second condition is may gain 7 electron. Gain 7 electron. What will be easy for sodium to acquire stability? We lose one electron.
Lose one electron.
Yes. That means sodium have only one valency. So how we have decided whether sodium have valency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the basis of number of electrons present in its outermost shell? Is it or not? Yeah.
Yes,
Next,
sir.
yeah. Now, in case of magnesium have its atomic number 12 and its electronic configuration is 2, 8 and 2. Okay. Again, in order to acquire stability, 8 electron must be present in outermost shell, but magnesium have only 2 electrons. So again, there are two conditions: will lose 2 electron or will gain 6 electron. So what will be easy? To lose 2 electron. That means its valency will be 2. Likewise, aluminum have its atomic number 13 and its electronic configuration is 2, 8 and 3. Means it will lose 3 electron. That means its valency is 3. In case of silicon have its atomic number 14. So its electronic configuration will be 2, 8 and 4. See, again, there are two conditions. It is going to lose 4 electron or will gain 4 electron. In both the cases, its valency will get fulfilled. Okay, means it may lose or gain. It will gain either 4 electron or will lose 4 electron. Means its valency is 4. Now, next electron, if we'll take in consideration, we have phosphorus. Its atomic number is 15. So its electronic configuration will be 2, 8 and 5. See, in order to complete octet, will require 3 more electron in order to fulfill its octet, or it may lose 5 electron also. Okay, but what will become easy? To gain 3 electron. Means phosphorus have valency 3. See, all these valencies we are deciding on the basis of number of electrons present in its outermost shell. That means whatever the statement we have written over here is correct. Okay, so if in examination the question will ask about the valency, so you have to write this part: the combining capacity of an element is called as valency, and valency is determined by number of electrons present in outermost shell of an atom. Okay, so that much part you have to write in your examination. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I hope symbol of an element and valency you have understood. So you can take a screenshot. Now we'll move on next point. Have you taken the screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next point we have, I think we have one new student today. Your name, beta? Shreyas.
Yes.
So you are getting the points?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay, somewhat. If you will get any type of confusion, so ask me. Okay, don't feel. Yeah, so feel free to ask questions. Okay, now next. So we have to go through that written statement over here. It can be considered as from where? Yeah, from here. Valency is the combining capacity of an element, and it can be considered as the number of electron lost or gained or may be shared by the atom when it combines with other atom to form a molecule or compound. Okay, is nothing but valency and how it's going to be determined. Okay, now we will understand writing chemical equation. Okay, so I'm going to zoom somewhat so that you will, yeah, now it's visible everybody clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is chemical equation? It is nothing but the representation of chemical reaction by using various symbols, okay, and molecular formulas of the compound. Okay, that is nothing but the chemical equation. Like we had discussed in our previous lecture about word equation and chemical equation. We have already been discovered. Okay, so let's revise once. See, the representation of the representation of the representation of chemical reaction in the form of equation by using various symbols and molecular formula is called as chemical equation. Okay, so and we had already discussed one example for that. Like suppose we have sodium metal. Generally at room temperature it's present in solid form, so we have to write S at the base of the sodium metal. Then more than one element or substance, or maybe we can say the reactant present, we have to separate them with the help of positive sign. Then we are taking half mole of chlorine gas. Chlorine present in the form of gases, that's why we have written G over here. Okay, and these are the reactants, they are taking part in a chemical reaction. Okay, and we are representing arrow towards the product. It is pointed toward the product. It shows the direction of chemical reaction from reactant side to product side. Okay, so what will be our product? It will be NaCl, sodium chloride, and again it is present in crystalline solid form, so we have to write solid over here. Okay, so this is nothing but the representation of chemical reaction. So what we have used here, it is nothing but the symbol to represent the sodium metal. Half represents the half mole. You know what is mole? What is mole?
Yes, sir. It's a unit of measurement.
It says it is mole equals to mass of a substance divided by molar mass of substance. Molar mass of a substance. Okay, and mole is represented in the form of small n, and it have value which is, it is also called as Avogadro's number. It is
6.022 to the power of 23.
6.022. Sometime you will observe 23 also. Okay, so it is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Okay, so this is Avogadro's number, which is equals to 1 mole. Okay, so that much of particle we are representing in the form of 1 mole, or we can say 1 mole of any substance contain 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles. Okay, so for 1 mole of sodium metal we will require half mole of chlorine gas. Okay, because Cl2 See here, two atoms are formed, but we will require only one. That's why we have taken half mole of chlorine gas. Okay, and will react to form 1 mole of sodium chloride. Okay, so this is representation of chemical reaction. Okay, so now we will discuss the given chemical reaction here. So here reactant is zinc metal. Okay, it is present in solid form. That's why symbol S is represent over here. We had two reactants. That's why they are separated with the help of positive sign. See, H2SO4 is a sulfuric acid which is used in a dilute form. That's why we have written dilute. And sulfuric acid is diluted by using water. That's why here aqueous is used for solution in water. Again, this arrow represents the direction of chemical reaction from reactant to product side. Okay. Then here displacement reaction takes place where zinc, this sulfate group is attached with zinc to form zinc sulfate. Again, it's present in aqueous form. So we have to return AQ to represent the aqueous solution. Again, we had two products. If we had two products, then we had to separate with the help of positive sign. Okay. Then hydrogen gas is released. See, this symbol of arrow which is directed upside. Okay, it shows the gas is released into the atmosphere. Okay, if see, there are some points that we had to consider while writing the chemical reaction. See, for solid we have to write small s inside the bracket, for liquid small l, for gases small g inside the bracket, and we have to write on the base like we have written over here. Okay, then if we are using aqueous form of the solution, so we have to write AQ also. Okay, see, this arrow directed upward which is for the gases, because the gas if will form have low density, so will escapes out from the container. That's why we are writing representing in the form of upward directed arrow. If precipitate PPT is formed during the chemical reaction, so it will get deposited. That's why for the deposition of the precipitate we are representing this symbol, the arrow directed downside. Okay, so these are the point that we had to taken into the consideration while writing the chemical equation. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so again take a screenshot, then we'll move further towards the balancing the chemical reaction. Yeah, done everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me check somebody is there in waiting room or what. No. Okay, so next heading will be the balancing the chemical reaction. Okay, see, before going to start the balancing chemical reaction, we have to understand why there need to be to balance the chemical reaction. Why we are balancing chemical reaction always? Okay, because due to the law of conservation of mass. Okay, it is the law when when the chemical reaction takes place, they obey certain law. Okay, some of them is the conservation of mass. So the conservation of mass says now the next part, so we have to separate. Okay, now see, the conservation of mass says the mass, or we can say mass, neither be created nor be destroyed during the chemical reaction. Hence the mass is conserved. Hence the mass is conserved. Means there is no gain and no loss of the mass of the during the chemical reaction. If we will compare from both the side, okay, from reactant and product side. If we'll compare, the mass will always conserve. That's why there is need to balance the chemical reaction. Okay, according to the law of conservation of mass, no atom can be created or destroyed. See, here we have taken atom. Why? Because atom have atomic mass. That's why instead of mass we are writing atom over here. Okay, in the chemical reaction, so the number of atom for each element in the reactant side has to be balanced as the same number has to be present on the product side also. Okay, means number of element or atom on reactant side have to be equals to the number of element or atom on product side. So here we can write number of atom on reactant side is equals to number of atom on product side. Okay, so this is nothing but we had to balance number of atom on both the side. Okay, so in other words, the total mass of the product formed in the chemical reaction is always equals to the total number of reactant participate in the chemical reaction. Okay, so this is nothing but the mass will be conserved during the chemical reaction. That's why we are balancing the chemical equation in which all the elements on reactant side and product side have to be equal. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we had to understand balanced chemical equation. What is balanced chemical equation? So the equation, or we can say the chemical equation in which number of atoms on reactant side and product side will remain same or will be equal, then it is called as balanced chemical equation. So I'm going to write definition over here for balanced chemical equation. Balanced chemical equation. So what will be the balanced chemical equation? When number of atom on both the sides both the side means reactant side and product side. When number of atoms on both the side in chemical equation are equal, then the equation is called as balanced equation. Okay, understood? Understood, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we have 4 minutes left, okay, to end our session, because the Zoom is going to allow only for 40 minutes. So out of 40 minutes, we have completed 36 minutes now. So I want you to take a screenshot as soon as possible, so that we will disconnect, then we will reconnect, and we will understand how to balance chemical reaction. Okay. Yeah. Have you taken the screenshot?
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm going to end the session, because we have only 4 minutes left. Okay. So we will reconnect once. Okay. Once our disconnection will, because we have only 3 minutes. Okay. So now I'm going to disconnect. Okay. Yeah. And everybody, please do join again, because some of the students, they are not rejoining. If the session will, you will leave the session, then the things will not going to understand properly. Okay, because we are going to cover the important part, which is the balancing the chemical reaction. Okay, so we'll meet within a minute. Bye for now. Now rejoin all.